Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host. I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to share with you, learn with you, bring to you, inspire you by all the recent cutting edge, most fascinating, and definitely applicable and effective brain body work, self-development tools so you can take better control of your thoughts, of your emotions, most importantly, of your actions, to take better control and more ownership of your life's trajectory. So you end up living a life that feels fulfilling. You know, we often look for recipes like what does happiness look like? What's gonna make me happy? What's gonna make me, smile more or enjoy it more? And we're looking for these recipes that work for everyone. But what I personally learned to understand, and that really helped me to stop comparing myself to other people, what other people have. What I got to understand is what makes me happy, what makes me feel fulfilled, what makes my life meaningful is not the same as for everyone else. And so when I decide to learn like an obsessed person and work on things that matter to me, on my vision, on my, legacy and contribution in this world, when I decide to work like a maniac and it makes me feel so good, like my day feels so meaningful, it doesn't matter whether somebody understands that or can relate to this or think it's right or wrong. Like, it doesn't matter. What matters is how at the end of the day it makes me feel. Did it make me feel complete, like I'm living my life to the fullest? And so instead of looking for recipes, guys, tune into yourself more often, into that inner feeling. Am I actually enjoying my life? Does my life feel like it's on the right track? And if it doesn't, then you have to do some soul searching, some exploring, and just ask yourself difficult questions. You can even ask ChatGPT to do this. Tell ChatGPT, can you ask me a set of questions for journaling that will help me to figure out what is the right thing for me to do in my life, how to make my life feel more fulfilling. Write up a set of questions from the best practices in coaching or self-determination, life coaching that will guide me through figuring out this question, what a fulfilling life is for me, right? How does it look like? So ChatGPT, I think ChatGPT is still at the very, very beginning of being utilized for the purpose that it's best for the purpose of helping you to develop yourself, to grow yourself. I think ChatGPT's superpower is not in providing the answers, but in helping you to pose the right questions and helping you to see and think about the things that are not in your head. Now, you can have a coach, you can have a mentor, you can talk to your friend, to your family, but there is this, human bias that another human being will have their own beliefs, will have their own blind spots, which ChatGPT doesn't have that many because it just has this amazing database that it can curate and you never know what it's going to come out. And that will help you to grow in the direction that you didn't know you could. But anyhow, that's about ChatGPT and how it can be utilized as a self-development tool. Ask it to ask you better questions, not to give you the answers. That's one thing I wanted to share, how I'm getting more and more into ChatGPT for that specific purpose, not to give me the answers, but to help me frame and create better questions and better strategies to try things out in life to see how it all works. But besides that, the topic of today, as you know from the name of this podcast, it's about mental game. It's about mindset game. It's about growing your inner world, your self-talk, your emotional state to match the one of a leader, to match the one of your superhero self. We all have these versions of ourselves living inside of us at the same time. More on the victim side of things, on a weaker side of things. And then we have superhero alter ego or superhero side that knows we can do more, that there is more potential in us. And depending on which one we are able to tune into more often and listen to more often, that's going to shape a completely different life trajectory. But the thing is, you can't often force one or the other to come out just by, trying to think about it all the time. What works a lot better is to bring together your physiology that will help to shape your emotional, your physical state, that then will shape your psychology, which will make it easier on a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, to summon your superhero self. Now, what am I talking about here? When I have days that there is more self-doubt creeping into my head, whether I'm going through challenges, haven't seen success or any progress for a while, or just got a lot of failures or things that didn't work, when that self-doubt starts creeping into my head and I start doubting all of my moves, my thoughts, my actions, everything that I've done. We all have these moments when we're like, am I stupid? Or am I why can't I figure it out? What's wrong with it? We all have these moments in one shape or form. Especially again, when you are going through different failures, through different things that didn't work, or lack of progress, it's gonna creep in. You can't fool your brain. If you don't see the progress, if you're missing the point all the time, this will happen. So what do I do then? I go to the gym, even though my self-doubt would say, yeah, what's the point? You're gonna miss the mark anyhow. Especially when that happens, I know today's the day when I'm gonna go and lift the heaviest. I'm gonna show myself that I'm more capable than I think of myself. So on the day when the doubts creep in, I get to the gym and I do leg day. Squats and deadlifts, and deadlifts. I like simplicity of that you put on the challenging weight and you just squat and then you do deadlifts. And at the end, somewhere in the middle of that, not even in the end, maybe at the end of set one, your self-talk, your emotional and mental state changes completely, and it's so freaking consistent, and it works like magic. It's mind-blowing. You leave that heavy weight, and all of a sudden that victim talk disappears. It dies under that barbell quite literally, and you start having self-empowering thoughts and emotions, and you start having this vibe like, I can do that. Instead of why me, try me. I can freaking figure it out and do everything it requires to move things forward and get to the next step. It's not a coincidence that the most common emotion after workout is empowerment. It's confidence. It's I can do attitude. Quite often my clients would say, I feel more confident when I eat well and move my body. My posture improves the next day. My voice is stronger. I feel like a leader. It's so common. Many of my clients start not recognizing themselves. They start thinking bigger. All of a sudden, the world feels like a playground, like an oyster, like a place where they are capable of achieving a lot of things. I want to read you something that ChatGPT brought to me. I asked ChatGPT to do research. And by the way, today there is a new deep research tool that I'm going to talk more about on Friday when I'm going to share with you all the tools that I use ChatGPT for, like all the things in my work and health. But I asked it to do research on the correlation between exercise and self-empowerment, mood and thoughts and confidence. And so it came up, it went through all of this research and studies. I think it was like 32 papers that it brought back. And here is one of the quotes. Regular physical exercise has been consistently, guys, it's not sometimes, it's consistently. And from my experience doing this, defeating my self-doubt with squats and deadlifts, it's consistent. It's 100% consistent. So regular physical exercise has been consistently linked to improved mood, higher self-esteem / confidence, and more positive thinking patterns in general population. A wide range of studies, from neurobiological research to large epidemiological, basically population studies, and studies when they did the research more into the biology of how things work in your body and in your brain. So all of this research and surveys demonstrate that people who stay active tend to feel better emotionally and think more positively about themselves than those who are inactive. More from athletes. Another quote from sports psychology website. Djokovic, one of the best tennis players out there. I don't know what's his rank, but yeah, he is one of the tops. Djokovic's ability to recognize the mental struggles he was having on and off the court allowed him to develop a more confident and focused approach at the start of 2011. I think that was when he kind of went from being mediocre to winning major tournaments like Wimbledon, etc. So many of the tennis players I work with have the physical skills and talent needed to succeed, but a weak mental game keep them from reaching their potential. You see, it's not physical game. Roger Bannister, the one who broke 4-minute mile, he wasn't that much different from all other athletes because a ton of athletes broke that record after him. What he did, what was better, was his mental game. He stopped listening to the people saying it's not possible and just did it. Like Nike said. Just do it. But what it means is disregard this stuff that doesn't have sort of if it's not a law of physics or impossible thing, then it's probably possible. And just because other people have not done it yet doesn't mean you don't have the capacity. So athletes know this. In the Olympic Games, Summer Olympic Games that happened last year, they, for the first time in the history of Olympics, and I also commented on this podcast, had mindset gym. What it was is a place where people would go and journal and meditate, and they would have different prompts and exercises to work on their mental game, because that has a profound effect on how they perform. And as a leader, you should know this too. Your self-talk shapes your success. But very often you miss the other part of it. Your biology. Your biology and your psychology, your self-talk, how confident or not confident you feel, they're one and the same. They come from the same source. They are inseparable. And that's why if you want to maximize your mental game, you want to start feeling less like an imposter and have less self-doubts, you need to get in the gym as well. Not necessarily lifting heavy, just challenge yourself physically, doing some exercise. When executives come to me asking how to build confidence, overcome imposter syndrome, to get to the next level of their career, or to really master and show up with their full potential in their current new role, I start with asking them this question: how's your exercise practice? Because biology and psychology are connected, and you can't change consistently one without the other. You can't have a strong mindset game if you are a weakling when it comes to your physical body, your health. Your superhero self is waiting, guys, for you to connect your physical self and your mental self. Big career moves, major challenges ahead, need to think bigger. Start by pushing yourself physically. And then also train your mind in the mindset gym. There is this really good exercise. So take your notepad out somewhere, or just remember that this is a legitimate, very effective technique to restructure your negative or disempowering thinking patterns. Recognize, rewrite, repeat, or recognize, revise, repeat. The exact words don't matter so much as a three-step process. First, you recognize the negative thinking patterns, the disempowering thinking patterns that create disempowering emotions that don't work for the goals that you have for yourself, for your leadership vision of self and your work in the world, right? So recognize. Even better, what I do with the leaders I work with, thought audit. You recognize and you record it, you write it down, but which also helps you to externalize your self-talk. It's not then a part of you. It's something that you can work with. It's something outside of you. When you write it down, you externalize it. You make a sort of separation between you and the self-talk that you need to change. So put it on paper, recognize first. Then the second step is revise or rewrite. Writing works better because it solidifies stuff faster in your brain. It makes it more potent because you literally pay more focus and attention and effort and energy into writing things down. Again, you're externalizing it. So rewrite. Find the alternative that works better. Instead of, let's say, I'm not capable, I'm not going to make a mark, it's not possible for me. Change it to different self-talk. Not like the one you don't believe, but something you can believe into. You can say to yourself, I'm not yet good enough, but I can work on this. I can improve. And I know this because I improved in that area, in this area. I learned this, and that. And because of this, I achieved certain things and I got better, right? So rewrite your sentences into empowering ones. Like I can learn, I can grow, I can improve. And yes, I might be here right now, but it's not my future. It's my past. It's my current state. So create positive alternatives to every single negative or disempowering thought pattern that you have. And you know that you chose the right ones when you have a different feeling. When you start feeling empowered, like you're capable. You can do that. And you almost like want to jump into action. That's when you know that your alternative that you just wrote down or just said to yourself, it works. It has to be able to change your feelings. And ideally to pour into you taking more action, to energize you taking action. And then repeat, just like in the gym. When you do one squat, it's not going to change you. But when you do the squats consistently on a regular basis, guess what? You're going to build some leg muscle. The same here. If you just do it once, not going to work. Not going to make major shifts. Yeah, you're going to feel like better for the next hour, couple of hours, but it's not going to stick. Just like when you exercise, you don't exercise once and expect your physical shape to change forever. You exercise consistently, just like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth once and then expect it to last for a lifetime. When you repeat it consistently, that's when it works. So the same with your mindset. That's why mindset gym. Put in the reps. Put in the reps. That's how you build the change. That's how you make the change stick. I also work in organizational change. And very often leaders have this question, well, how do we make it last? Repetitions. Very simple idea. And it's valid and it works. And it's the only way how you make anything stick before it becomes automatic. Repetitions. Right, so you gotta embed it. It's in your routine. You do it in the morning or in the afternoon, or in the shower. Make repetitions happen, and the more of them you can make happen, guess what? Just like with squatting, well, maybe there is such a thing as over squatting, but when it comes to mental game, no such thing. The more you do it, the better it works, the faster it works. So recognize, rewrite, repeat. Recognize, rewrite, repeat. 3 R's. Each has to be present there. Recognize, rewrite, repeat. And that's how you create confidence, empowering mindset, and you believe in yourself that you indeed can tackle whatever it is life throws your way. So do you want to build more confidence? Do you want to have more self-empowering self-talk? This is how you do it. You physically challenge yourself. You change your brain chemistry. You change your body chemistry. Your brain sees the evidence. You can do challenging stuff. And then the second part, biology and psychology and biology, because also there is studies that when people use more self-empowering self-talk, all of a sudden they start exercising more. All of a sudden they start being more consistent with all of their health habits. All of a sudden they start doing all of things better. So biology and psychology play together all the time. They're interconnected. One influences the other and the other influences the first one. So do the work in the gym by running, whatever it is, challenging exercise you want to do. And then do the mindset gym repetitions. Recognize, rewrite, repeat, recognize, rewrite, repeat. And do it even for 3 days. 3 is a magic number. Do it just for 3 days and you'll be blown away by the results you'll see. You all of a sudden start feeling like you're a different person. It will feel uncomfortable. You're like, I don't feel myself. And that's exactly what you want to feel if you want to change yourself. Like not yourself. Because your old self is something that you want to change, something that you want to grow. It's kind of like shedding off your old suit or changing your running shoes. At first, they feel uncomfortable. But before they can feel better and feel like your second skin, they have to feel uncomfortable. That's how change works. At first, it feels uncomfortable. That's how you know you are in the process of change. When you feel something different, something uncomfortable. But anyhow, that's the magic formula. You want to improve your confidence. You want to be self-empowered. You want to decrease your self-imposter syndrome into the oblivion, make it die under a barbell. Do this consistently. Hit the gym or running path and then do the repetitions in your mindset gym. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode and you find great value. And if you have any questions, if you need more resources for that, feel free to reach out, Angela@brainbreakthroughcoach.com, Angela@brainbreakthroughcoach.com, or hit me up on Instagram, Angela Brain Body Coach. Angela Brain Body Coach is my Instagram handle. What else? Don't forget to share this podcast episode, guys, with at least one other person. Who do you want to know this, to feel more empowered, to get more self-confidence, because they are capable of so much more, but they're not going after it, drowning underneath self-doubt. Share this podcast episode with this person. Screenshot it or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast at. So share this with this person. Let's all of us help each other to become more empowered, to become more confident, to get out there and get more awesome stuff done for a better world, more positive impact, and more fulfilling lives. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Have an empowered kind of day and stay tuned for AI infused episode on Friday. Talk to you soon. Have an empowered day.